Voyage of the Tennafitzgerald, day 6. We've been out to sea. It's been a rough one. It's been a long one. But we're hoping to make our way back to shore today. Brandon Molesky in for the comment. He will be back tomorrow. And then once he returns, him and I will be out at Vikings training camp Wednesday and Thursday. Joint practices versus the Baltimore Ravens. So we'll be covering that out at TCO. With me today for the final time, no one's more relieved than Brett Blakemore at 3 o'clock today. Brett, how you doing today?
I'm all right. The ship is already sunk, and now we're just on the inflatable life raft. But now that's starting to take on water, so yeah, we'll see if we can make it to shore.
We got a little bit of help today. Obviously, a lot of purple talk after their first preseason game. Dane Mizutani of the Pioneer Press joins me in about 12 minutes. He'll be in studio for 2 segments. And Pete Bursich, analyst for the Vikings Radio Network, will join at 2:30. But it's Monday, Brett. We need to know, what did you do, what did you watch, and what annoyed you this weekend? So we'll begin with you. What did you do this weekend?
I mean, there's just so much to get to, with football. I mean, can I do it?
You want to do your own Wheel of Topics?
Brett's golf game.
I've had that in the system, just lying in wait.
What did you shoot today?
It was an 85.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Where'd we play?
Loggers Trail.
Where'd you hit it on one?
It was right.
How far from the green were you?
I had, I think, a 8 iron in my hand.
Second shot?
Let's see. I put it on, hit the green, long putt.
Then what?
2 putt for par.
Incredible.
Now, it all fell apart on 2, where I literally had to pick up because I'm like, max score. We played 2 at Loggers. If you go right.
Oh, I've been there.
It's done.
I've been right, yeah.
And my miss is I'll leave the face open, and you'll see it go straight and then take off.
Yeah.
Right. So that's dead. And I did the stupid thing of, I'm going to re-tee because I can hit my driver. Same exact thing. And I'm like, all right, well, I might as well just picked
up at that point.
Yeah. So it's an 8, and I thought, round's over. And then I battled back. I had like 4 or 5 pars in a row on the back and got an 85. And I'll be done at that point.
85 is not bad.
It's not bad.
Yeah, I'd take it.
It's about average for me.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
It's average for you.
My last 4 rounds before that were in the low 80s. So I'm coming around.
I figured when we did the what did you do that I would have the more boring of the 2 this weekend, and somehow you surpassed it. For me, what did I do this weekend? Mostly just family stuff. Friday night, the 2 boys and I, who are now 11 and 9, decided to go on a very long bike ride, which is much longer and further than they'd ever been. Like, typically we just like, let's bike to the park and come back. We decided to go on like an hour-long bike ride. When we biked all the way to Grandpa and Grandma's, who live in a different city than us. And of course, halfway on the way there, my 11-year-old Leo gets in an own goal accident where he just falls. Knee scraped up, bleeding, blood going down the leg. He looked like Kurt Schilling in the World Series with blood on the sock. But at this stage, if I'm mom, I've got things ready for this, but I'm not. I'm a dad.
Yeah, rub some
I
dirt
have
on it.
nothing. I don't have a Band-Aid. I got nothing here. So it's just like, and we're already halfway between. There's no going home at this point. So it's just like, you're just going to ride the next 15 minutes with just blood coming down. But good for him. He learned to handle a little adversity.
Yeah.
He got up. He was bleeding the whole time. By the time we got there, the blood was like dry on his leg because we'd been biking for so long. But yeah, it was fun. The 2 kids got to go on the long bike ride. They were proud of themselves for being able to make it. And then they already want to go again. So that's a good time. Other than that, wife's birthday Saturday. Went to Churchill Street in Shoreview. Great restaurant. And then we also had the extended family birthday because you have 3 August birthdays all together. Did the extended family stuff yesterday. So yeah, pretty boring family weekend, but enjoyed it.
I think skinning your knee on a bike, while it sucks, it's like a core memory. You remember doing that. That's something you have to go through, I feel like. It's just a part of
I don't think I really remember skinning. The only one I remember was when I was a kid, was kind of right when rollerblades came out for the first time. So I had already been, practicing hockey for 3, 4, 5 years. And I feel like I was 9 years old, and I got rollerblades, I don't know why my parents just let me go by myself. That was a mistake. but I was rollerblading in the park by myself, and I hadn't put the 2 and 2 together that stopping in hockey is different than stopping on rollerblades. So I'm flying down this hill, and I need to stop. I opt to try to make a hockey stop and just completely destroyed my own shoulder. I remember that one. I don't remember really, any bike injuries or stuff like that, but I still to this day, I learned from a young age, stopping's different with the rollerblades. Can't do it the same way. What'd you watch this weekend?
I watched a couple Minnesota sports teams look good. I mean, the Vikings, it's preseason. Same with my club. Once the first quarter and second quarter are over, it's pretty much, there's not a lot to see there, except for Justin Jefferson, who was on the broadcast.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was cool. But I watched a good portion of the Lynx game, and I really wish the league didn't have all this mainstream drama and controversy, because the Lynx are genuinely just a joy to watch. Like Olivia Miles is unbelievable. And just down the stretch, she just went, I'm just going to take over this game and put it on ice. I'm going to run around you and get an easy layup, or you're going to foul me and I'm going to make the free throws because I can, and because you can't keep up with me. It's just, and she can set up Fee, she can set up McBuckets. It's genuinely a joy to watch that team play. So that's what I watched. A couple Minnesota sports teams do well.
I watched Vikings Giants. I worked it on Saturday. I watched the last couple minutes of the third quarter and then the fourth quarter of the Lynx game. And kind of the turning point in that game was Vegas is making a run, got that thing to 1, and then Fee just took over for a short little stretch where she hit 2 back-to-back threes. Yep. And the first one was one of those where Miles passes to her early in the shot clock. They just crossed half court, hadn't even gotten into their offense. She was covered and she threw it up. And that's one of those what are you doing? Oh, yeah, it's because your fee, your money. Mm-hmm. And then the next time down, she hits another 3. They get it to 7, and that was they basically held on. But yeah, Olivia Miles is not only really, really good, but she plays an entertaining brand to watch. So that's the difference. She is fun to watch. Also saw one of the Vegas players just make one of the worst flops ever. Somehow, and let's face it, these announcers, I'm not one to complain about announcers. The announcers wanted Vegas to win.
Yeah.
I mean, if you hear, every time Vegas would score, they get excited. Every time Minnesota score, be like, oh, another play by Olivia Miles. And on that one, I'm going, this is an obvious flop. Announcer said nothing about it. Somehow the refs went and looked at it and confirmed the foul. What? Were you watching the same thing I was? The Minnesota player was just standing there doing nothing, and the other one just bolted her head back like a soccer player. That was ridiculous. And then we'll get into more Viking stuff, obviously. We're going to talk with Dane Mizutani next, Bursic next, and I do want to get into some of my thoughts on the Vikings-Giants game, so we'll get into that as we move along. What annoyed you over the weekend?
I mean, I feel like this could be a universal talker, but an evergreen talker, but it reared its ugly head again this weekend. Why?
People doing Wheel of Topics? Is that what annoyed you?
No, I enjoyed that.
Okay.
Why is there no middle ground with driving? Why?
With driving?
If it were up to me, everyone in town would go 9 over the speed limit at all times. Not any higher, not any lower. 9 over. It's the perfect middle ground. And you're not going to get pulled over. 9, you're fine. 10, you're mine. That's the rule I've lived by. It doesn't happen, but you still get there at a good speed, but you're not going crazy. It's either A, someone's going 20 miles an hour under the speed limit, and you've got to work your way around them because they have no idea what they're
20
doing.
20 might be a little extreme, but
it feels like it. It's not.
I hate when they merge onto the highway at 20 under.
Yes.
You have time on this ramp to get to 55 or 60 miles per hour. Why are you merging at 38? Makes no sense.
But then,
hit the gas.
When people are going, let's say 10 under, and I've got to get in the left lane to pass them, here comes pickup truck that's going 90 miles an hour behind me, who then is mad at me that I'm in the left lane. Well, this dill rod's over here, not going fast enough, and then I'm in the crossfire. Why can't we just all go 9 miles an hour over the speed limit?
Why can't we just raise the speed limit? Why can't we have a speed limit where the officers go, all right, if you go over that speed limit, you're getting a ticket. If it's 1 mile per hour, you're getting a ticket, and then just raise the speed limit. As of right now, we're in this guessing game of, am I going fast enough to get a ticket? Am I going slow enough to get a ticket or not? I don't know.
Anyway,
a lot of questions.
No one knows how to drive. Too fast, too slow.
I didn't really have anything annoyed me other than the most annoying thing of the weekend was Jamal Adams getting hurt.
Yeah.
He's out for the year, knee injury, and it's a good reminder when we try to take these preseason games so seriously. We go, we got to see our starters. We got to see them do this. We got to get our offense together. Blah blah blah. And then you are reminded of, well, here is the risk that comes along with trying to play players in a meaningless preseason game. Now, it's a freak injury. What could have happened in the regular season. But like I just said, it's a reminder that the most important thing out of these preseason is getting out of them healthy. That being said, we're going to break down this preseason game.
Yes.
As if it's Vikings fan line. Dane Mizutani of the Pioneer Press joins the Tennafitzgerald next in studio.
Welcome aboard the Tennafitzgerald. In for comment on the Fan.
From the
Fan welcomes some great shows to the Ledge Amphitheater this year, including Blues Traveler, Gin Blossom, September 12th. You can read details on all of our upcoming shows on concert page, KFAN.com. Keep your calendar.
That's Brett Blakemore. I'm Tennaby. This is the Tennafitzgerald. Vikings beat the Giants 13-10 Saturday at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Pleased to be joined by Dane Mizutani, who covers the Vikings for the Pioneer Press. One, Dane, thanks for joining. Good to see you. Two, I feel like there's a bunch of different directions. I mean, even though it's just one preseason game, I feel like there's a lot of little newsworthy moments in a bunch of different aspects of this game. Let's start with the ones. We'll begin with the first team offense. They get a field goal on that first drive. Kyler Murray just 2 of 3 for 10 yards. Missed that connection to Aaron Jones to extend the drive. Even just within the first team offense, there's a bunch of different directions to go. Let's stick with Kyler though. Then we'll move on to the run game. What do you think of Kyler's first opening debut in purple?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I thought it was fine. Like you saw elements of the offense that I think can make you feel pretty good about how it could look with Kyler leading the charge. What stood out to me specifically with Kyler was that throw to Jordan Addison, that out route, kind of layers it in over a guy who actually jumps the route, but it's just put there with such precision that it goes for a first down. And then you saw some of the things that need to be ironed out with the little bit of a miscommunication with Aaron Jones on that third down. Room to improve, but I think all things considered, and some of this has to do with the run game, it was a pretty good first showing for Kyler.
Now, very early on here in a preseason game, but KOC has been pounding the entire, into the table the entire time. Hey, we want to change the run game. We want it to look different. We want to depend more on it. First preseason game he's basically saying, I wasn't lying. The play of Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason on the first drive, the blocking. I mean, is this going to become a run first team or is this going to be more of a balanced team?
Yeah, I guess I'd have to see it to believe it, to see that they will be fully run first. But when you
he's
watch,
just going to run preseason, then opening drive against Green Bay, we're just going to like 8 consecutive passes, aren't we?
You still got to call the runs in the regular season. But I think with Kevin O'Connell, a lot of times throughout his tenure, and their run game was improved last year, but there have been too many times where I think it's just easier to lose confidence in the run game. It doesn't work, so you kind of go away from it. What I would say from the preseason, and it's the preseason, it's week 1, it is the most vanilla defenses you will see, is I could see elements of why Kevin O'Connell would be confident calling the run time and time again throughout the regular season. Just look at that first run of the game by Aaron Jones. It is that wide zone that we've been talking about. It's linemen firing off the ball, and it's Aaron Jones he's not the speediest guy, but the patience and the wherewithal to make the right cut at the right time. It is in some ways everything we have been kind of asking about, and how is this going to look different? We saw it in that one play, and we saw it a few more times too in the game itself.
Specifically, Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. We've been hearing from reporters that Jordan Mason looks like he's got a little bit more burst to him. Have you seen anything different with those two? It's hard to believe at this stage of Aaron Jones' career he's making too many changes to improve himself. It's probably more about sustaining, but they both looked active and both looked like they had some openings, and obviously the division. Yeah,
I mean, with Aaron Jones, it's crazy. Somehow he continues to look just as explosive as the year before. We'll see if the body holds up for 17 games, but he's a guy who I think this style, this offense, this run scheme kind of fits to what he does well. Patience, the right moment, when to cut back, when to keep it upfield. And the same thing goes for Jordan Mason. He had a ton of success in San Francisco in this similar style run scheme. So both of those guys together, like, they're not a Jahmyr Gibbs, they're not a Bijan Robinson, but you don't necessarily need them to be. You'd love one of those guys, but you just need guys who can run this scheme effectively. And we'll see. Now we got to see it in week 2 preseason, week 3 preseason. I doubt those guys will play too much moving forward, and then we got to see it when the Bullets are live in the regular season.
After the draft with all the rookies they had, I left it going, well, Max Bredesen, even though you drafted him a little bit lower, this guy is most likely to be on the field probably the most at the beginning of the season just because of the position he's playing. I'm not going to act like I'm a fullback expert and can rate exactly, but from people that are, they seem to think that he had a very, very good game. What did you see from him?
Yeah, he told me early in training camp that he prides himself on 2 things as a football player: his versatility and his violence. And that's the most fullback answer of all time. But you saw some of that just in that snapshot moments of time when he was in the game. He does play with a lot of violence. He will pop your pads. He's not afraid to get in there and kind of mix it up. But just even on that first run by Aaron Jones, he's up there. He's helping Josh Oliver on the chip, and then he's getting to the second level. It shows why they've had so much confidence in him from the beginning. It almost surprised me early in training camp just how much we saw Max Bredesen on the field, because in some ways it wasn't that much different than the usage that C.J. Ham was getting towards the end of his career. And that's 10 years of NFL experience. Max Bredesen is just going to be the C.J. Ham replacement. And I think they're going to put more and more on his plate just because they feel confident with his ability to not only intake the information, but then go apply it on the field like we saw on Saturday.
All right. How about second team offense? J.J. McCarthy, the numbers 4 for 7, 34 yards. I know he had one that was kind of probably one of his best passes was dropped on that back shoulder. But just the timing seems a little off on him. The decision making seems a little off. What did you observe of JJ?
Yeah, I mean, I think Ty Felton has to catch that ball on the sideline. I think Ty Felton would agree he has to catch that ball on the sideline. But from the first snap of JJ McCarthy's game, it's a jet sweep. The timing's off. I don't know who's totally at fault here, but there have been cadence issues with JJ McCarthy in the past. There have been issues at the line of scrimmage with not just getting the right play call in, but getting everything to function as it should pre-snap. I think part of that was probably on him. Part of that was probably on the path the receiver took. But there were just a couple things throughout his brief stint, and I don't want to hammer him too hard for it, but the overthrow to Jayshon Jones on the sideline, that's a throw he's missed throughout his career to this point. Small sample size, 10 games, but it's a pretty basic out route that if you throw with anticipation and you put it on him, it's a catch near the sideline. JJ was a little late he had to see it kind of come open, and he sails him over his head. We've seen him do that at times. So that was a little concerning. I do think there were a couple good plays from him, but it's probably not a big enough sample size to say there were no improvements throughout the offseason. All those mechanical changes didn't matter, but it didn't necessarily inspire a ton of confidence.
He looked like the same guy to me.
Exactly. It didn't inspire a ton of...
2 point, small sample size, preseason, but...
I'm not ready to say there were no changes, no fix, but it didn't inspire confidence as to, okay, this guy can actually take some steps forward, and it's understandable why the competition was called when it was, when you watched him play.
So a week ago, we had a quarterback competition between Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy for the QB1. Now, after this game, you already have people saying, well, there might be a competition for number 2. And I was actually saying this even before they named the first quarterback. I go, if Kyler Murray gets the starting job, I think if he were to get hurt, Carson Wentz is playing. I just did not believe J.J. McCarthy is going to play. Do you think that there is now a competition for the QB2 spot, or do you think McCarthy is the guy there?
I think McCarthy is still the guy until further notice, but I think you're right where we could get to week 1, and I guess he's number 2 until further notice. They're going to rep him like that through training camp. But who would you feel more confident just going into a game as a backup? I think the answer is probably Carson Wentz, just because that guy's been in the league for a decade. He's been there. He's done that. He came in last year kind of fresh off the street, and he goes into that Cincinnati game week 3, and they just move the ball. Who knows? Carson Wentz might play the whole year if he doesn't lower his shoulder in London and tear his labrum. So I think there are elements to, in a acute moment in time, if Kyler Murray is healthy and you are thinking this guy is one play away from playing in the game, you would probably feel more confident in Carson. If Kyler Murray goes down for a prolonged stretch of time, I think maybe in that scenario you would play J.J. McCarthy because you'd want to get more reps and see kind of that expansive view. But the best thing for a backup quarterback is how can you come in cold and perform? Can you do that? Nick Mullins was amazing at it. He would just come in cold off the bench. KOC would draw up a 25-yard screen and dig across the middle, and Nick Mullins would make it rip. Carson Wentz, to me, would seem like a more effective person at being able to do that than J.J. McCarthy, just in a clean moment as a backup.
Talk with Dane Mizutani, the Pioneer Press. We're going to go to break here. If you want to join, and if you have a question for Dane, you can text us at the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line at 64686. You can also send us a talkback on the iHeartRadio app. Just go to KFAN. There is a play button. Right next to the play button, there's a microphone. And click on that. You got less than 30 seconds to ask questions or give a comment. We'll talk more with Dane Mizutani, including that bad injury to Jamal Adams. Next, right here on the Tennafitzgerald.
You're on board the
One at any of our KFAN events, or anytime you see the KFAN street team out and about this summer, then redeem them at Mall of America for discounts and exciting prizes. You can check out our upcoming events, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Not surprised, but some J.J. McCarthy-related texts at the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line, 64686. This is the Tennafitzgerald, by the way. Dane Mizutani of the Pioneer Press is here. A couple different texts. Says, do you think there's a chance we ship off J.J. and let Wentz be the quarterback too? I'm still a big believer in J.J., but I need to see some improvement quick. Love to hear some input from you guys. Paul texts, McCarthy has been on the team for 2.5 years. He should not look this bad. I assumed he's been studying the playbook and watching film since joining the team. He apparently has not. What expectations does the team have for its quarterbacks to watch film and study the playbook even while they're recovering from injury? And then Rich from Fargo says, by the very same reasoning, Wentz was better than Murray. He says we learned nothing from that game.
All right. Yeah. I mean, it's not surprising that the J.J. McCarthy fodder has created a good amount of things on the text thread, because he is the most polarizing athlete I think I've covered with the Vikings since I've been on.
More than Kirk Cousins?
I think he's getting there.
Okay.
I think in 10 games, J.J. McCarthy has a group of supporters that have planted their flag in and will not listen to anything else. And
yeah.
I think there's a lot of people on the other side that are just done with him. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. I don't think they trade him unless they can get something of value. I don't think he's creating a fuss behind the scenes. I think he's handled this about as well as you could, all things considered, with kind of how it's all gone and how the competition looked and when it got called. And I just don't think, unless he is making it untenable behind the scenes, which I do not think he is, that you just give him away for a 7th round for 6th round pick swap. Now, if someone, Trey Lance went for a 4th round pick. If someone wants to give you a 4th round pick for J.J. McCarthy, I think you got to think about it really hard.
I said that the other day before they named Murray number 1. I got just ripped to shreds on the text line.
Yeah, and a 4th round pick is valuable, and I think I don't know how much more valuable you are going to, or how much more you're going to be able to improve his value than a 4th round pick. This is all conjecture. I don't know that that's on the table, but I think that is the only thing. And then obviously anything above a 4th round pick, but a 4th round pick and anything above is the only thing that would even make me consider it. But I think right now it's probably best to just move forward as long as he's handling it well behind the scenes, and just kind of see if you can squeeze a little more juice out of that orange.
All right. Obviously, the toughest news for the first preseason game was the Jamal Adams injury. We find out yesterday he's out for the season. He wasn't here a long time, but in your short time, what interactions did you have with him? What kind of a person was it? What did you observe from camp? Because it sounded like that he was looking pretty good in training camp.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't here for a very long time, but from everything I've heard, he made a pretty big impact and a pretty big impression on everybody. And I could see that just in my very snapshot moments talking to him. Super personable guy, very much willing to kind of dive in about his bouts with adversity. He tore his quad tendon pretty early in his career, and had to slowly but surely work his way back. So I think when you sign a guy like that, a guy who has been at his peak, one of the best safeties in the league, and that comes with its own cachet. But then he's willing to talk to the young guys about kind of his journey to get to where he is now. And then, oh, by the way, Brian Flores had him playing a lot of first-team reps, linebacker. Then he was at safety. He was kind of a guy I think was going to be used as not exclusively as a designated blitzer, but you even saw it in the moments he was playing on Saturday, he knows how to blitz. He knows how to get after it. And I think he was going to be one that could create disruption, which is what Brian Flores loves. Very, very sad to watch him go down because of the journey he had been on and the role that it looked like he was carving out for himself.
Since the injury, the popular clickbait now is, well, does this open the door for Harrison Smith? And I'm thinking to myself, if Harrison Smith wanted to come back, regardless of whether Jamal Adams is hurt or whether he's 100% healthy, like Harrison Smith is coming back. And I think this has nothing to do. It's not like they're now like, oh, we have an issue with safety. We got to reach back out to Harrison. I think they were going to accept him whenever he wants to come back, period. But what is your take on Harrison Smith now that Jamal Adams is out?
Yeah, I don't think it changes Harrison Smith's calculus at all. I think you're right. I don't think it is something where Harrison Smith saw they signed Jamal Adams and he had this itch to play. And I was like, well, I guess I'll just leave the cleats hung up. I think if Harrison Smith wants to play, Harrison Smith will play for the Vikings. I also don't think that now, because this Jamal Adams injury occurred, that the Vikings are going to put the full court press on Harrison Smith and say, we need you back. I think this whole thing throughout the process was the Vikings giving Harrison Smith, a legend who will have his number retired, be in the Ring of Honor, borderline Hall of Famer. They were giving him kind of the grace and time to make this decision at his own pace, and I don't think that has changed at all just because Jamal Adams went down.
Is he ever going to make a decision? Percent chance he comes back?
I don't think it's happening anytime soon. I've always thought that if it was going to happen, it would happen sometime during the season. Like
really?
Sometime later when you kind of have more information. Do
you think he just wants to make sure he's coming back to play on a winner? Is that what you're saying? Or like what is the reasoning behind during the season?
I think if the Vikings are 2-7, like Harrison Smith's not coming back, but I think if they're 6-1, like maybe there's an inkling to come back. I'm not saying Harrison Smith is just going to come back if the Vikings are in playoff contention, but I think you would want a little more information if you were going to kind of lace him up and get back out there. I've thought to myself, though, every time we talk to Harrison Smith about retirement, he said, I'm not going to have a big announcement. I'm just going to not be playing one day. And you guys won't know until it's week 1 and I'm not on the field. Huh. That's kind of what this feels like to me.
Is he like turning down all calls from reporters or what? I'm assuming people have reached out to him, or do they just know he's not going to let us know?
I have not talked to him. I would be curious if anybody has. He keeps his circle pretty tight, and I think he's taking his time to kind of just decide what he wants to do. He is somebody who has also said in the past, though, you can't buy a spot out there. You could be a billionaire, and you can't just say, here's a bunch of money, let me play football. So I got to imagine that is going through Harrison Smith's mind too. You can't buy a spot, and if he feels like he even has 5% left in the tank, then I think he would probably feel like he wants to be out there. But a lot of things go into this, and I think we're still kind of in wait-and-see mode until then.
Who on the first-team defense stuck out to you in the game against the Giants?
Dallas Turner. I mean, I think he's just one who's consistently been kind of a standout throughout camp, and it wasn't necessarily completely his doing to get his sack, but he finished that off. Played the right leverage. You've just seen kind of inklings of Dallas Turner throughout camp, and now one preseason game, one sack that makes you feel good about where he is in his development. Someone who stood out kind of in the opposite way, and he's not necessarily first team defense, but you hope he is at some point, is Caleb Banks. I think he probably got a little bit of a welcome to the NFL moment throughout that game. He's a really big guy, really imposing presence on the interior, but with that comes leverage, and if you're already above the offensive lineman in terms of your height, your stature, you better play with good pad level, because low man wins in the trenches, and as is, Caleb Banks is going to probably be a cut above the rest. So I think he's going to have to learn to play with better leverage on the inside. You saw some lowlights from him. You also saw a highlight from him where you could just see his pure strength, but I think that is someone who all stood out. He's going to get some reps in week 2 and week 3 of the preseason, and I think he needs to put forth a little bit better of a showing.
Yeah, not sure what you think of Pro Football Focus and their rating system, but they had Caleb Banks as the lowest rated Vikings defensive player. Now you have to have a minimum of 10 snaps to accomplish that. How about Ivan Pace? You know, there were kind of 2 plays there on the Giants drive. The first one, he took a bad angle on, was it 3rd and 23 or whatever, and 41-yard screen pass to a Devin Singletary. The second one he's getting criticized for. I guess I'm not as offended that a wide receiver was able to moss him on a play in which the quarterback was able to roll out for like 6 seconds. And I don't even know if he should be the guy covering that wide receiver to begin with. But, Ivan Pace, his role on the team started to decline last year. Where is he in terms of fitting in with this team?
Yeah, it wasn't a good showing from him to kind of over pursue there and be part of the parties responsible for giving up that long gain on the screenplay. But I always thought if Ivan Pace was going to make the team, it was going to be because he has carved out a niche for himself on special teams, and that's kind of still how I feel. You've talked to Matt Daniels, special teams coordinator, throughout camp, and the first name he always brings up is Ivan Pace Jr. Maybe that's some campaigning from the special teams coordinator saying, I need this guy. But if he needs that guy, then I think that's Ivan Pace's path to making the team. The defensive struggles and those plays from the other day certainly don't help his cause. But I don't think it's necessarily, well, he took a bad angle over pursuing on a screen pass, and then he got mossed 2 plays later. Let's cut him. Because I think his path to making the team was always probably on a different side of the ball.
All right, we're talking with Dane Mizutani of the Pioneer Press. I want to get your opinion on the rookies. You already mentioned Caleb Banks, but Jake Golday, Big Citrus, Damon Claiborne, he got a little bit of run there at the running back position. Chuck Demings, we've heard a lot from him in training camp. A safety, and Jacob Thomas, who I didn't know much about, but he flashed. You had the big offensive tackle, Caleb Tiernan. Out of all those rookies, what'd you like, what'd you dislike?
Yeah, I like that we could start to see kind of the versatility of Jake Golday. I'd be curious how that continues to kind of ramp up through preseason and where he kind of lands once the regular season rolls around. Do they see him as a linebacker? Do they see him as an edge? Do they really think he can play that kind of hybrid role right away as a rookie? You saw little snippets of what he could possibly be on this defense on Saturday, and I think we'll see more as the preseason progresses. So I'm excited about that. Thought Caleb Banks and Dominique Orange together were, I guess, kind of on that same trajectory, some good, some bad, on the interior of the defensive line. That I think with more reps, that will kind of iron itself out. I don't think they were ever going to be starting defensive tackles right away with what Jalen Redmond, Levi Drake Rodriguez, and even like Tyrion Ingram Dawkins have put together. But I think with more reps, those interior defenders could kind of find more playing time. But Jacob Thomas, that was the guy who stood out for me the most. And you just referenced PFF. His PFF grade was the highest of any Vikings rookie. An interception will help with that. But there were other things too that you saw. You saw him kind of being that hub of communication on the field where Jay Ward is looking at Jacob Thomas to make the call pre-snap, and that bodes well for a UDFA coming in, obviously making that splash play, but showing that you can kind of take on whatever role is needed on that back end. And Jamal Adams is gone now. If Harrison Smith doesn't come back, there is a spot open, and we've seen UDFAs make the team in the past. Jacob Thomas did himself a lot of favors on Saturday with what he was able to put together.
You mentioned Jay Ward. I think I saw him like as a starter on the depth chart they released the other day, and I thought I barely know anything about this guy. And then he had 2 pressures in the game, and obviously the one hit he had on why is the Giants quarterback's name?
Jackson Dart.
Jackson Dart. Yeah, it was escaping me there for a second. I mean, just absolutely blew him up and actually sent him to the blue tent there for a little bit, which is a whole nother controversy. Is this just another guy like? I feel like B-Flow has the ability to take guys that are just kind of also-rans that none of us really know of, and then like kind of making, I don't want to call him a star, but like making a player out of it. Like, is Jay Ward the next guy that B-Flow is going to turn into a player?
I could see it, and I could see it, one, because of kind of the intensity that Jay Ward brings to the table. He's flying around. If he's making mistakes, at least he's doing it at fast pace. If he's right on a play, he's going to destroy you like he did to Jackson Dart. But I feel like he could be someone who could develop into something because we've kind of seen this path with a player. Josh Metellus, he went from being a special teams guy that was pretty much exclusively a special teams guy, could not find the field on defense, then got a little bit of action on defense, and then 1 year kind of out of nowhere turned into a pretty prominent player on defense. You're seeing kind of a similar pathway with Jay Ward, exclusively special teams his first couple seasons in the league. We saw a little bit more defense last year from him. And now it looks like he's being given the opportunity right now, at least early in preseason, to kind of take it and see what he can do with it. They like him. I know they do. He has versatility and he plays with the intensity that Brian Flores likes on that defense. So he could be somebody that would follow more of a Josh Metellus path. There's precedence there. So I wouldn't doubt or discount his ability to kind of turn into something under Brian Flores.
I can do one more question before we do some talkbacks. Miles Price, 4 catches, 51 yards. He had the one-handed catch for the touchdown. A guy that we saw a little bit last year as a returner, and that's how his bread's gonna get butter. That's how he's gonna make this team. Do you see, what have you seen from training camp? Obviously, me personally, I'm only seeing, a couple different quarters against the New York Giants. Has he been flashing like that in training camp? And is this a guy that could become more than just a returner?
Yeah, totally. He's been a guy who it seems like he's made a play almost every practice. Him and Ty Felton have both had really good camps. I think Ty Felton's had a better training camp, but that's not because Miles Price has had a bad training camp. I think Miles Price has shown throughout the summer that he could develop into something on offense, and then in his first action in a game, he goes out and does that. He goes up and snags a Carson Wentz ball on the sideline and then shakes a tackle and takes it for 20-something yards. And then he has that one-handed catch in the end zone. He could turn into something. He's a 5th receiver on the depth chart. He's, like you said, his bread is going to get buttered as a returner. But when you see a guy flash like that, I don't know how you don't at least try to get him a couple touches here, a few touches there. He has a skill set with the ball in his hands, and now he's not Cordero Patterson. I don't think you need to get him the ball as much as possible. But when a guy like that shows what he's shown to this point in his career, I think it does slowly but surely earn you more playing time.
I think I read somewhere that someone thinks that maybe he can turn into like a gadget guy, and I'm thinking, has KOC had gadget guys? It seems like he hasn't done those gadget type plays.
Yeah, that's the hard part, is that in order for Miles Price to get playing time, he has to not only supplant Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, but also Jawan Jennings, and Ty Felton just projects more as what they want as a receiver than Miles Price.
Let's go 4 wide, run and shoot, Warren Moon.
Yeah, I mean, I play
Houston
NCAA,
Oilers.
I play NCAA at home all the time, and we go 5 wide, five wide receiver sets out of the gun. Let's turn it into a college offense, and you got 5 receivers that can do it.
All right, Brett, we got some talkbacks over there. Let's go to, like I said, you can give us a talkback. It's right on the iHeartRadio app. You just go to the KFAN station, right next to the play button. You got a microphone. You can leave us a talkback. What do we got over there, Brett?
Hey, good afternoon, guys. Mitch here from South St. Paul. So I know there's a lot of the quarterback talks and this and that, but my question is just, why does it seem like McCarthy has regressed now in year 3 with the system? Like his opening preseason game against, the Raiders, he was moving around the pocket, being decisive with his throws, and now it just seems like he's back in square one, like we just drafted him. I'm just curious to know, why do you think he's regressed? Is it because Kyler's the starter? I mean, I'll hang up and listen. Thanks, guys.
You and I were talking about this during the commercial break, and I had brought up that on social media. I think I posted it myself, that there was a highlight montage video of J.J. McCarthy's performance year 1 against the Raiders when he played the first half. We come to find out he got hurt in that game and was out for the year. But just watching the highlights, even then, I get it's a different team. It's preseason. There's only so much to take out of it, but he just looked like a different, you can look at the stats all you want, and the stats might be similar, but I just thought his composure and his calmness, now I just feel like he has jittery feet all the time. Even then, you were watching him move around in the pocket better and extend plays and run for yardage when he didn't have anything. Now I just, you watch him and I just feel like he's got the happy feet and doesn't really know. He's not, his progressions aren't where they should be. I don't know if this is a lack of confidence thing, if maybe KOC has overcoached him the last couple of years. He got too much thoughts in his head. I don't know, but he does look different than he did early on in his first preseason, and it's supposed to go the other way.
Yeah, I do think it's largely a confidence thing with J.J. McCarthy. I think there is some kind of analysis paralysis going on too, where there might be too much in his head. But I think when you look at that preseason game, and that's kind of the hallmark that we're going to point back to and say, this is what he could have been, this is how good he looked. It did look good at times. There were confident moments where he was playing quarterback at a pretty high level that it looked like. But it was also week 1 of the preseason against a vanilla defense that the Las Vegas Raiders were trotting out there. So the confidence was on display, but it was because there was nothing really exotic being thrown his way. I think when you then see it firsthand, okay, this is what an NFL defense actually looks like, that can shake your confidence. And this is a kid who hadn't experienced a ton of losing on the football field throughout his football life. I think we all made a big point of he had lost 3 times from the time he went from high school to college until he got to the NFL. So how are you going to respond when it gets a little bit tough, when the pressure gets dialed up? I think that week 1 preseason game that we all want to point back to was a moment where he was able to play free, and sure, he could benefit from playing free again, and certainly I think that would help his confidence. But I think when you go through the ringer of the NFL, it has a way of shaking some guys, and we'll see if he can kind of build that back up.
Let's move on to talk back number 2.
Hey guys, Drew from Blaine here. I don't anticipate the Packer fan to play this on the radio.
Think again.
But Dane, I'm just curious, where will you be sitting for the parade route this February that the Vikings have?
Are you optimistic, I guess is what he's saying.
I don't know where I'd be sitting for the parade route. I don't even know if I'd be able to get a seat.
But you'd have to cover it.
I think everybody
You'd
would
be a journalist.
I mean, would there even be room in downtown Minneapolis if there was somehow a Vikings parade? Would we even be able to get to the route? I think, more bullish on this team than other people are, because I think I'm more bullish on Kyler Murray than other people are. I think Kyler has had a lot of ups and downs throughout his career, faults that you can certainly point to, areas that he could have been better in Arizona. That's a disaster franchise that a guy early in his 20s got thrown into. And I don't think there was a ton of help. I don't think there was a ton of infrastructure for him to kind of cultivate.
I feel like we had the same conversation about Sam Darnold before his year here.
Exactly. And so I think
different players, different style, but
I think that's why I've had them at 10 wins since they signed Kyler Murray. That's what I've kind of predicted in my head. I haven't moved off of that. I think there's going to be times where Kyler Murray makes you want to pull your hair out. But I think there's going to be times where you remember, yeah, that's what that's supposed to look like on offense. And I think last year kind of broke people's brains where we just assumed the offense is going to look clunky no matter what. I think with you don't even need great quarterback
average
play.
Quarterback play.
Yeah, you don't need good quarterback play. You need competent quarterback play. And I think they're a 10-win football team, and I think 10 wins gets you above the cut line to make the playoffs.
You only need average quarterback play just because of what you have around him, and then, the defense. I mean, if the defense plays at the level it did last year, I mean, you can win a lot of games just on that alone. That being said, if you get more than average quarterback play, right? I mean, Kyler Murray has a high ceiling. Now, he's also had, a little bit of a low floor at times, and he is a wild card. When people ask me, hey, how do you think the Vikings are going to be? Like, depends on how Kyler Murray does, but he doesn't have to improve a lot just to have this offense go up from where it was last year. And if you do happen to find that high ceiling Kyler Murray, I mean, you are talking now potential deep playoff run.
That's where I'm now. Are we all planning our Super Bowl?
Packer fans smirking over there.
Where
Thanks.
We're gonna watch the Super Bowl parade. Like I don't know that we go there yet, but yes, I agree. The ceiling is high because he is such a high variance player. Where I think that you could, if you could capture something, if you can coach out the bad, you're not going to ever be able to coach out all the bad in Kyler Murray, but you have to take some of that with the good that he's able to produce. I just think he's a misunderstood guy who played Call of Duty early in his career, and that's all people want to talk about. We forget.
This is a chance for him to change their narrative, though, too. Like, he should be motivated.
100%. But he is one of the best athletes that we've ever really seen come out at the position. And he's had success at times in the past. To your point, this is his chance to kind of change the narrative once and for all. We've seen a guy do it 2 years ago, and I think it's possible that we could see another guy do it this year.
Thanks, Dane. What do you got in the hopper at the Pioneer Press?
Just working through some stuff. We got something on Nolan Teasley working, just kind of on his high school days. My brother actually went to college where he played football at Central Washington. So I've talked to some people out there working on that, and then we'll have some things on Kyler Murray coming up in week 1.
Then you got the joint practices on Wednesday and Thursday as well.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Those are always fun, and those almost guarantee that nobody plays in the preseason game on Saturday.
Correct. Thank you, Dane. Appreciate it. Dane Mizutani from the Pioneer Press. We'll talk more Vikings in the 2 o'clock hour, specifically with Pete Bursich, analyst for the Vikings Audio Network. But on the other side of the break, we got some big bites, talking about all the big audio sound bites from the weekend.
If the boats are rocking,